What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be sharing with you a mind hack that TV shows use to keep you hooked, to keep you interested, to keep you watching, to keep you coming back for more and more. What's up, everyone? So, first of all, I want you to imagine this, right? Imagine that you were investing a whole bunch of time to complete this jigsaw puzzle, and you've done all the pieces, and then all of a sudden you have this one piece. And would you just sort of leave it and then go away and just that's okay, I'm cool, I'm done? Or would it kind of a little bit annoy you, like I need to I just gotta finish it? Have you ever felt that way? You kind of do a jigsaw, and then something happens and you have to go out, and you're like, but just let me finish it. So this is the kind of principle we're gonna be exploring today. So before we get on, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to another episode of Hypnotic Storytelling. And today we're going to be talking about something called opening loops. Opening loops is like, how do you create curiosity? How do you get people hooked? How do you get people to want to come back again and again to hear your stories? So let's get going. Now, the challenge is, for some of us, we have to, maybe you have to speak to someone for a very long time. And if you have to speak to someone for a very long time, or over a long period of time, as in days, for example, people can lose interest, right? People can just start to get bored and just sort of like doze off and just, okay, whatever. Now, how do you avoid that? How do you stop that from happening? So how do you pique interest, curiosity, and help people to remember longer? So in the 1920s, there was a psychologist by the name of Bluma Zygarnik, okay? And she created something. She found out something which was pretty fascinating. And it was named the Zygarnik effect. Now, what it is she went to a couple of restaurants, and she was so fascinated because she was at at a table, and the waiter remembered everybody's order. And she was fascinated by, how does this person remember everyone's order? And then she went back to the restaurant. I think she left, but then she went back and she went to ask them, that same waiter, who was amazing at remembering everyone's order. And she said, do you remember what I had? And he'd forgotten at the end. And she was wondering, why is that? Why did he have such an amazing memory for a short space of time, and then afterwards, like, completely forget? And she found that a number of waiters were doing this, as in, when this thing was open, when they hadn't completed a task, their mind kept the task open, and so they would remember it. But when it finished, it's like the mind said, okay, we're done. Let's close that file. We don't need it anymore. And finished, they'd close it and they'd move on. And so waiters wouldn't remember. After they'd closed the order, they finished paying the bill, that's it. They don't need to remember it anymore. And so she's like, what is going on here? So she started to do a few experiments, and she would give people a number of tasks. And then halfway through the task, she would go and interrupt some people that hadn't completed the task to come out, and then she would ask them about it. And then she'd ask another group of people to actually just go and complete the task. And those people that were interrupted had a 90% better recall. They would remember things 90% more. And so she was like, wow, when it's incomplete, it has people thinking about it for a lot longer. When something is incomplete, when they want to complete it, but it stays on your mind. But when someone completes something, they will instantly forget about it. Okay? So, and perhaps you've experienced this. Have you ever been working on something, and then you have to go away somewhere all of a sudden, and when you go away, it's on your mind, you're thinking about it a lot longer. That is what the Zygarnik effect is. When something is incomplete, we think about it longer. We want to complete it. We want it stays on our mind a whole lot longer. But if we complete something, that's it. Done, dusted. I can forget about it. Move on. So she was like, okay. Now, she did this thing. They called it the Zygarnik effect, and TV shows, movies, all use this, and they use it very, very powerfully. Now, I've experienced this. Some of you may have seen Avengers, the Avengers Endgame. Now, I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but right at the end of the movie, of the first part, you're like something happens, and you're like, say what? Oh my God. I watched that movie, and then all of a sudden I couldn't wait. I was waiting 6 months for the next movie, and I kept thinking about it. I was like, what's going to happen? What are they going to do? I wonder what's going to happen next. And you keep, it was on my mind. Now that the last movie came out, I saw it and then forgot about it. Like, okay, it's done. I can move on with my life. But TV shows do this. Now, I remember there was a TV show called 24. I don't know if any of you have seen 24. Basically, what happens is there's a big thing that happens, like a terrorist attack or something along those lines, and the hero has to save the whole day within 24 hours. And every episode was an hour long. And at the end of every single episode, it would be like, oh my God, I solved something, and then boom, something would happen, or there would be an explosion, or someone would get shot or something like that, and you're like, oh, what happened? And then you have to watch the next episode. And that was my first ever binge watching. I would watch that episode, and then I was like, oh my God, I gotta see the next episode. I watched the next episode, and I was supposed to go to bed, but I didn't want to go to bed because I wanted to know what was happening in the next episode. And so I'd watch the next episode, but at the end of the next episode, they had another open loop. And so it kept me watching and watching and watching. And you have probably experienced this with television too. So let's get going. Have you ever binge watched a show? And if you've ever binge watched a show, then the chances are that you have seen an open loop. You've experienced an open loop. You've wanted to know what happened next. And it doesn't need to be something like high drama. Like if you've ever watched Friends, every TV show has a few open loops. Some are like way more obvious and some are bigger, but some, even like sitcoms, they have an ongoing story. Will Ross and Rachel get together in Friends? Like that's an ongoing open loop kind of thing. So let's talk about what types of open loops that you can have. Now, the first type is having something like an overall loop as a continuous theme. So, for example, what do I mean by this? If you've ever seen the TV show How I Met Your Mother, that's the whole series is opening a loop about how I met your mother. So the whole series is, you're wondering, there's one big open loop that is throughout the whole thing. How did he meet the mother? How did I, the question itself, the title itself is an open loop. How I Met Your Mother. And so you keep watching, and the whole time you're trying to figure out, how did he meet the mother? So that's one thing. How to tell hypnotic stories. That's another, as a continuous theme. Whenever I do this video, for example, this video, I'm telling you how to hook people to come back. This is a part of my how to tell hypnotic story. So you can have a loop within a loop, for example, right? So how do an overall theme, that an overall loop that spans all the videos or all the series or all the lessons that you have, etc. So you can have an overall loop as a continuous theme. The next type is you can have individual stories. So what do I mean? Individual stories. So just at the end of a story, you have this sort of big cliffhanger, like, and this is an amazing example how TV shows used to be. You used to do it, and you'd see them, and they go, dun dun dun, to be continued. That's an open loop. right? That's the story at the loop at the end of the story. Okay, so where is it useful? When do you want to use open loops? Now, if you're doing a workshop, for example, and you want to explain an exercise, so you explain the exercise, you tell a bit of a story, and before you give them everything, in the middle of your story, you just sort of say, okay, so I want you to do this, I want you to do this, and I want you to do this. And I want you to find out what happens. Just see for yourself. Find out what happens, and then let's talk about it, and I'll tell you the rest of the story, or I'll tell you what's next. So then people go and do it, and in their mind, they're thinking, okay, what is going to happen? What am I going to learn by doing this exercise? So before you do, if you're doing a workshop, before you do an exercise, do that. If you're doing a full day talk, right? If you're speaking through for the whole day, then have open loops. Start with a few open loops at the beginning of the day and say, you know, after lunch, I'm going to tell you this. And at the end of the day, I'm going to share with you this one secret that's going to totally blow your mind, or something like that. Those are open loops, okay? If you have multiple day workshops, again, if you're looking to get people to come back, if you're looking to open people's interest, then okay, so today I'm going to share with you, and you are going to want to come back tomorrow, because tomorrow is where we do this, and it is going to be exciting. It is going to take you to the next level, etc., whatever it is. So multiple day workshops, you want to open loops, okay? If you want to give someone something to think about, so at the end of a talk, I'll be like, you could say a whole number of things, and this is what is going to happen if you do. What is it that you can do today that will let you achieve that goal? That's, you're asking a question, and you're getting people to think about it. So an open loop is getting people to think about something as they leave your talk. You know, that's it. You can have them think about that. So having an open loop there. If you have a series of videos, if you have a video after another video after another video, just like TV shows, have an open loop. Have an open loop at the end of tell a story, finish halfway through, and just be like, okay, so tomorrow I'm gonna finish off that story. So I'm gonna give you 6 ideas for creating open loops. 6 ideas that you can use today that will help you to create open loops when you're telling hypnotic stories. Okay. Number one. The first one is very simple, a question that is unanswered. So you could go and you could tell a story, and in the story, I was looking at this man and I was fascinated. I just kept thinking, how is he seemingly floating on the water as he stands? How was he doing it? Anyhow, and then you start talking about something completely different. Now you've left an unanswered question, and people are going to be like, what is going on there? What is happening? So, what is the answer to that? And they may not like consciously realize, but in their unconscious, they're like, okay, what did happen? And they start to be more alert, because they want to see, are you going to tell them the answer? The second thing is, you could tell a story, and just when something happened, like and this is what TV shows do, right? Like when something bad happens all of a sudden, and they say, okay, tune in tomorrow. Now you don't have to say the words tune in tomorrow, but you could tell a story, and then they came and told me the bad news. Now we're going to do an exercise, and you see, by just like, people are like, okay, what happened? What happens next? Just by ending on a bit of a loss or something, they want to know how you got out of it. And they can see you've gotten out of it, but they want to know, how did you get out of it? So that's a very powerful one. So that was number 2. Number three is dangle the carrot just out of reach. So what this means is, if you are telling a story, and in your story, the antagonist, the hero of your story, the person in your story, has something that they really want, that they truly desire, and it's just out of reach. It's just out of reach. And he looked in his pockets, and he looked at the price of the car that he wanted, and he took out all his money, and he counted every dollar, every penny, and by the time he'd finished, he was just $49 short. And then you start talking about something else completely different. Everyone's like, okay, what happened? What happened? What happened? Did he get it? Did he get the car? What did he not get a car? What happened? And so you want to, you tell stories like that where it's just that thing that they really wanted is just out of reach, just beyond reach. That's an amazing way to open a loop, another loop. Number four. Time is running out. So in your story, this is why 24, I gave the example of 24. 24 was so powerful because it combined other types of open loops with the fact that time is running out. Like the bomb is going to go off in 2 hours or something like that. Anytime you have time running out, it's a very powerful way to open a loop in a story. So, and I was running out of time, and I looked at the clock, and I just had 3 minutes left before I could get there. And then you start talking about something completely different. And you're like, oh, did I get there? Did I get there? Okay. So number five. Five, a threat. Something. I was there. I was water skiing, and then all of a sudden I turned around and there was a shark there. I could see the fin of a shark. And then you start talking about something completely different. People are like, what happened? What was there? What? There's a shark. There's a shark. You can't just throw that out there and leave it there. What happened? So a threat, again, another powerful way to open a loop. So that's number five. Number six. News that wasn't expected. You could be like, and I was so happy. We were sitting there. We had just come back from Disney World. And then I turned on the TV and they said, all flights are canceled. And we were planning on going back that day. And then you start talking about something completely different. You're like, what happened? You're like, what? You can't leave it at that. Tell me more. So news that wasn't expected, another way to open a loop, very powerful. So breaking news. Okay, so that's number six. And finally, here's number seven. A decision. When you have to make a decision. And I sat there and I was like, do I put my pet down and end the suffering? Or do I try and revive it with with such a low chance of it working? I don't know. You know, you have that decision and you're like, and I didn't know what to do. And then you go on and you start talking about something completely different. Everyone's like, what did you do? What was the decision? What was the outcome of this? So a decision, very, very powerful. What decision did you take? So those are the seven ways that you can create open loops. And the phrase that pays, right? No, before I do that, another question you might want to consider. I'm opening a loop here. Can you open multiple loops? And if you were to open multiple loops, one after the other without closing them, what's the effect going to be? And is that beneficial for you? And how do you do it? So if you want answers to those, check out the next few videos that I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so that's an example of opening a loop, right? Which is actually true. And I'm getting you to come and check out the next one. So now, phrase of the day: avoid your story's quick deletion. Open a loop and delay completion. Avoid your story's quick deletion. Open a loop and avoid completion. With that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I will see you on another episode real soon. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you are watching on Facebook, hit the subscribe button and check out one of my other videos here on the screen. With that, I want to thank you. Peace out, one love, and I will see you on another episode real soon. Now, go and make an impact in someone's life, even if it's your own. Thank you guys. Bye for now.